Thank you for attending Open Source 101. It's super exciting to be here, albeit virtually, but next year we'll be there in person together. So today we're going to be talking about a little bit about how open source developers make technology inherently more trustworthy. I'm Kelly Huang, I'm the VP of Product at Ethyca, but we're not here to talk about me, we're here to talk about you. So we're actually going to start this one a little bit differently. We're going to get started today with a little bit of audience participation. So get to your chat box now so we can answer this question. By a show of emoji reactions or whatever reactions you have there available to you in Zoom, have you ever searched or shopped for something online and noticed that it started to follow you around, following you around the internet? And I'm talking Google ads, Reddit, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are. This thing that you innocently searched for somehow is finding itself everywhere you're looking at the internet. Does this happen to any one of you? Oh boy, they're coming in hot. I see smiley faces. I also see crying faces, crying and smiling faces, chairs. I don't know, maybe that's like have a seat. I am sad. Oh wow, there's quite a few check boxes. And yes, I am hearing and seeing resounding yeses. So I have to believe that this actually happens to other people. And guess what? As you can see, you are not alone. This issue of data privacy, it's not a secret. And obviously, you guys can see from the chat, you've known this is a problem. And it's the reason why you search for some things in an incognito browser maybe, or in private mode, turn off data collection settings for certain accounts you have, or maybe even decline cookies on certain websites. However, there are only so many levers that you can pull as the subject of all of this data being collected. Those defense mechanics of trying to block websites from tracking you, they aren't actually making the whole internet a more safe place. You're just giving yourself the illusion that it's a safer place for you. You're fixing the symptom of the actual root cause, but it's more like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. So all of us today that work as software developers, and even if you don't work as a software developer, you need to ask yourself, how did we get here? Right, we created the internet, the websites in your browser, the apps on your phone, all of it, we created it. And if you're here for the reason I'm here, we are also creating, contributing to, and a part of the communities of so many open source projects that underpin all the code that makes up the internet today. So today we're gonna run through 3 major points, and I need you all to take this away. We're gonna talk about why open source developers are the privacy heroes that the world needs and the world deserves, for those that know the Batman reference, why we need open source community-defined standards, and how you can start playing a role today. So if you work at certain software companies, you know that to get through your SOC 2, PCI, GDPR, whatever compliance audits, that you have to provide this whole checklist of things you're doing or have done to prove that you're following all the rules. We're so focused on not breaking the rules that we forget the reason why we're checking all these boxes to begin with. So let me make this easy for you. We check the boxes of compliance merely so that we can have a stepping stone toward total data privacy. But do we ever stop to think about the issue of privacy, how it came about to begin with? Well, it wasn't completely due to the 2016 US election, with the top being blown off of the Facebook and Cambridge Analytica scandal. It definitely brought some concerns to the forefront about how the type of data, what type of data websites can track and how they use it. It raised questions about whether companies were doing not terrible, awful things with our data. And as a result, we as internet consumers started to not trust that software companies would use our data appropriately. Well, guess what? The open source community has already solved this problem. They've solved this problem by making these libraries, packages, projects, dependencies, UIs, whatever your flavor of open source project is, completely an open book, complete transparency, and there are no secrets about what it does. All you have to do is look at the code. That's why the world needs all of you, all you open source contributors, adopters, and enthusiasts, nay, heroes to help with open community-defined standards that help to build inherently privacy-respecting software. It should be a no-brainer that to continue seeding trust in the software that we build, we need to be more transparent about our standards and methodologies behind our data privacy initiatives. All software companies have adopted open source, and some even maintain open source projects. As Javier literally just said, those survey respondents, they all use open source projects, and a large percentage of them even adopted more over the last 3 years of the pandemic. Those of us that maintain and contribute to these projects as a career, though, have been molded by the culture of open source software, where we default to transparency and we default to open decision making. These shouldn't be some secret or super expensive solution gatekept by the world's largest technology companies. We, as the software community, the open source software community, need to hold ourselves and each other accountable for the ways that we use data and build fair rules for software for all. And it doesn't matter how long you've been doing software, you can help to play a part today in your organization, in your project, in your team, when it comes to responsible data use for your software. So to start, we're going to treat all data that you would want yours to be treated. Know how and where data is stored. Know how it's being used. You can bring the culture of awareness into your teams because it changes the way people think about building software. This sounds like table stakes, but believe me, from the work we've done at my company, Ethyca, and in my past experiences at some of the world's largest technology companies, most software companies don't know where their customers' personally identifiable information is. And further, where that information is actually flowing into and out of. So next, privacy is also a nascent space. So even though there are quite a few projects out there, we're going to need to find them on our own. And honestly, that actually helps to bring teamwork into building privacy respecting projects, open source projects. All right, so all of us in software have a great power, and with it, great responsibility. Data privacy is a human right and should be included in all software by default. We that work in the open source community are also general internet consumers. And we all share the responsibility, the burden and the responsibility of making data privacy accessible and respectful for all. So let's do our part today. Thank you guys so much for your time. My name's Kelly Huang. I'm the VP of Product at Ethyca. We're an open source privacy engineering platform. Look me up on LinkedIn and Twitter, and I'd be happy to talk more about some of those privacy respecting projects with y'all. Thank you.